Hello, everybody. Future attendees of Cascade Writers and already signed up members of Cascade Writers. Today, we have another one of our promotional pro interviews with Shiv Ramdas. I have pronounced that correctly, I hope.
Absolutely.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you for being here today, Shiv. Can you tell our future workshop attendees a little bit about yourself, who you are as a writer, what your writer journey has been like, and yeah, how you came to be involved with Cascade Writers?
Oh, it's a long one. We have time. Well, I started writing a really, really long time ago, like when I was a kid. And like most of us do, right? And I kept doing it. Then I sort of, and don't try this at home, sort of wrote a book and quit my job. And I didn't have an agent. I didn't have a publisher. I didn't have interest. I didn't have anything. I just had this dream that I was going to like publish this book. And I was kind of sick of my job. So I saw this thing on the website of a large publisher, let's leave it at that, which said that they accepted slush, and they will get back to you. So I was like, wow, that's really cool. Not realizing that is pretty much like standard format and like that's not how you get published.
Hmm.
So I sent them my book and I left town to go sit on a beach for a little while. And about 2 weeks later, someone called me and they wanted to publish the book and they wanted to publish a sequel. So that's how I got started. But please don't do this. Uh, and then subsequently, I got involved with like I'd never written short fiction. So then at some point in my life, I decided that I should write some short fiction. Although I published a novel, and the novel that got published started out as a short story. So I was still trying to write a short story, and it wasn't really working out. So I applied to Clarion West out here.
Oh, okay.
I've
Yeah.
never been to the US, so I just heard about it through people I knew who'd been there and stuff, and spoke really highly of it. So I applied. I went there. I learned how to write a short story. I've published one short story. It did fairly well. It got nominated for a bunch of things. And over the course of time, I got involved with the Cascade people. I was once on the board planning these things.
Hmm.
And then when my time there ended, I've been asked to like do faculty stuff. So this will be my second time as faculty. I've attended as a student as well. That was really fun. So I
Hmm.
really had a good time with Cascade, experiencing all sides of the whole thing.
Awesome. Yeah, we've certainly enjoyed having you there. And since you've been on both sides as both a faculty board member and also as a student, can you speak to the workshop from both sides of the line there? Like, what are some of the things you've gotten out of the workshop, and what are some things that you're excited to share with future participants?
Oh, okay. Well, I think it's a really cool workshop in the sense that like so the first fundamental that any decent workshop needs to have honestly is like the vibe and the atmosphere for you to
Hmm.
like feel free and open to like give and receive feedback and stuff like that. And that is one thing I think Cascade kind of knocks out of the park. uh it's it might be because like most really good workshops I've attended, and there are day workshops that do this well, and now with Zoom and stuff there are workshops that do this fairly well. But I found that workshops where everyone tends to like live in the same building and stuff like that also tend to like sort of have a little bit of a leg up and stuff in terms of like being able to bond, because you're not just like meeting during premeditated times that you are dependent on someone else managing a network, if you know what I mean.
Hmm. Hmm.
So so in that sense, there's a lot of bonhomie and it's really good vibes that happen around it. Like as a student, I really had a really good time. Like it felt like when I was giving feedback, everyone was open and receptive to receiving it. It felt that when I was receiving feedback, everyone was open and honest with me about what they thought worked and what didn't work.
Yeah, yeah,
And
that makes sense.
yeah. And then now when I've led groups, I kind of try to keep the same thing. Like the most important thing is like the writer, in my opinion. Like the workshop starts and ends with the writer. And so
Hmm.
like when you get a story, like what you're really like looking for is to try and help the writer execute what their vision for the story is, as opposed to so one thing I try to keep very, very sort of like clear and outlined from the start is that we don't write stories for the writer. We don't rewrite their stories for them. We help them like achieve their vision for it.
Hmm.
And that takes the process of, hey, this is what it felt like when we read the story and stuff. But again, like maintaining an atmosphere where everyone feels like whatever their contributions are being valued is, I think, the most important thing. And it's something that I experienced when I was a student, and I try to create an atmosphere where that happens when I'm running a group.
No, that's excellent, Shiv. I totally agree with you. I think that's one of the coolest thing about this workshop is its intimate nature. And like you say, there's something special to not only meeting in these preordained locations and times and like with the structure around it, but it's nice to just see people around the hotel and like go to the bar for karaoke and all that kind of stuff is really helps solidify that bond between facilitator and peers. So yeah, I agree with you very much so on that. Regarding that, what are some techniques as a workshop leader that you like to utilize that help facilitate that growth in the writers? And how does that intimate nature of the conference or of the workshop kind of help play into all that?
I think we've been over a little bit of it, but I think it's important to like make sure everyone feels comfortable,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
like welcome and accepted and part of the thing. And I think that's really important. Like the vibe of the group is really important to me. Like every time I've done a workshop that's been really good as a student, it's been because like I was able to trust the people I was giving my stuff to read, like both in terms of like the feedback I was getting and the perspective that feedback was coming from.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so I think that is the most important thing. Like you've got to like create a base where that happens, where people feel, I keep saying this, but people feeling comfortable is the key to good, right? Like comfort is the key to good art. Like
Mm-hmm,
that
mm-hmm.
applies across the board. Like I'm not a real big fan of this whole struggling artist concept. So you know, when you're happy and well fed and satisfied and have a roof over your head and all your things are taken care of, you make better art than when you don't. And
Mm-hmm.
when you're satisfied and happy that you're being treated with the respect that you deserve and that you're treating others with the respect that they deserve and everyone is enjoying themselves, that is when we get to have the most fun cutting up stories and like making them as good as they can be, the in the framework of what the writer wants.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, and the key is to have fun. Look, at the end of the day, this is fun. We're very, very lucky that we get to do stuff like this for fun.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And we're even luckier, those of us who get to do this for a living. And yes, it's work, but it's still fun. And having fun is really, really important. Because at the end of the day, stuff like this, like books, films, movies, all this, these are entertainment industries at the end of the day. Like the audience for this is people who are coming there to do it in their spare time because they want to have fun. And if you don't have fun in the process, you're not going to give them fun as an end result. So
No, that's a great point. That's a great point. Like writing is, like you say, it's work, but it's a lot of work, right? And I can't imagine why somebody would do it if they don't enjoy it. That wouldn't make any sense to me. Because you're definitely not going to make money at it. So, I mean, you can, but it's definitely not the quickest way or the easiest way. That's for sure.
oh no.
Unless you just submit your first book and go live on a beach for 2 weeks, I suppose.
Yeah, but even then, that's not how you really make money off it. Long, long process.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm just kidding. So on that note, what advice would you give to starting out writers who may be showing up at this conference looking for this sort of guidance, who are early in their journey? And something I think gets asked a little bit less actually is what advice would you give to intermediate or writers who are further along on their journey as well?
Well, the most important advice I would give any writer at any stage is read a lot, as much as
Mm-hmm.
you can. So for someone who's starting out, I would definitely be like, read as many books as you can. Don't worry about reading in your genre. Don't worry about, hey, I'm writing something similar, so I shouldn't read it, so I won't be influenced. Don't worry about any of that stuff. Like, read science fiction, read fantasy, read horror, read humor, read nonfiction. Just read. Like, read good writers, and it will help you as a writer. Like, it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter what stage you're at. Like, and it's almost like a database. Like, the more good writing you read, the more it helps you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I would say that extends to watching stuff. Like, watch good writing, experience good writing. It always comes back to help you in your writing. And then have fun. Like, the other thing I would say is have fun. If you're not having fun, nobody else will have fun.
That's a good point. Yeah. If it's not fun to read or write, it's not fun to read, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, awesome. Thank you, Shiv. So I guess I'll just ask sort of a couple finishing up questions that are a little bit more focused around you so people can get to know you a little bit. Can you give a rundown to people who may not know of what you've written and what you're working on right now and where people can find you?
Oh, sure. So, well, I've written a little bit of short fiction, one short story. It's called "And Now His Lordship Is Laughing." That's the one that's famous, quote unquote, air quotes, whatever. It got nominated for a few things like Nebula, whatever. Anyway, so there's that one. The story I always tell people to read of mine, which is sort of like my personal little baby that no one loves as much as I do, is this little thing called Balloon Man, which was actually my first published story in the United States. It's also there in Podcastle. It first came out in Giganotosaurus, then in Podcastle. If you want to read something that relates to what I'm writing now, then you should grab this thing called Bhatia PI, which is in Lightspeed. It came out, I think, a year or so ago. It's a prequel to the novel I'm writing now, and it's basically a fraudulent paranormal detective who doesn't really believe in ghosts, doesn't believe in anything, wants to scam people, makes a quick rent because he doesn't have rent money, and he happens to get a real case with a real djinn.
Okay.
And it sort of like flows from there. And and then the short story kind of like leads into the novel, which is just a continuation of the adventure with those characters.
Awesome.
That's what I'm working on, yeah.
That sounds really cool. And do you have a website people can find you at, just regularly speaking?
I do have a website. Thank you. It's called shivramdas.net.
Okay.
And you can hit me up there. You can also find me on all the socials, Blue Sky, Twitter. Those are the ones I usually use. I'm at NameShiv.
Okay.
On both of these. So pretty easy to find. Also, if you just like search my name on most of these things, I pop up fairly easily most times.
Okay, cool. But yeah, I'm most active on Twitter and Blue Sky, so I'll put those links down in the comments for those of you listening. And I guess my final thing. So Shiv, you recommended that people read a lot. Do you have a book that, say, somebody who wants to write in the sort of sci-fi fantasy sphere that you write in, that is a must-read?
It's interesting you say that, because just yesterday I was talking to someone about this book. I think everyone should go out and find a book called Rosewater by Tade Thompson and go read it. Like, I'm reading a lot of Nigerian speculative fiction these days, and that one stands out. Wole Talabi is being nominated for a bunch of stuff this year. Go look up his novel as well. So these are the two I would say that you should catch right now, contemporary good novels to sink your teeth into.
Okay, awesome. I will add those. I'm making a recommended reading list since I'm asking all our pros this question, so I'll add those ones to it. Awesome. Well, Shiv, we are really excited to have you back at Cascade Writers. We can't wait to see you at the conference. Thank you so much for talking today.
Thank you so much.